strong opinion is their event get more kids into the hall. It's their event, it's their school, they are celebrating. Vei Muyoro, I will be the director of ceremony this morning. My task is quite simple. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to launch a celebration of 100 years existence of St. Barnabas. Many of you might be asking yourself, if we go around, but who is this St. Barnabas that the school is named? Or what is this St. Barnabas that this school is named? It was an Anglican mission station. It was in an old location. The church, the school was located there. And the school was in old location. As people revolved and they moved to Katutura, the school also relocated to Katutura. So this is an old school named after a mission of Anglican Church which was called Saint Barnabas. That is what the mission was known. Kastana will give us a prayer and then Mr. Bangura will do the welcoming. We running behind time, so I want us to run quite fast to keep within the 1 hour time frame.
Good morning. When you go to the book of Proverbs, the Bible says, the plans of the heart belong to man, but the execution of it belongs to God. Which means for everything that we have done as the school, planning all these events, as we are planning for next year, that belongs to us. But the completion and answers for the planning we're having is depend on the Lord. And therefore, we cannot be able to start this event at the beginning of the launching without the prayer. And the school itself is originated from the church. It was a church school that they planted the school. And then therefore, we should still continue with the history. With those few words, let us just bow our heads and prayer. Our God, our Father in heaven, we thank you for this wonderful occasion. O sovereign Lord, O God, the creator of heaven, who made it possible for all of us to be here this morning. It's not because we are very careful drivers. It's not because we have best medical aid. It's not because we are much more vigilant on the roads, O God. But it was purely from your mercy that we are here this morning. We pray, continuing, O God, that you can bless us during this time. For everybody is going to speak today, O God, we pray that you can pour your blessing upon them. That whatever message that is coming out should remain in us. Should not be one of those good speeches that are coming and pass by, but, O God, let these speeches and the discussion, deliberation put marks in our life. That at the end of the day we say for sure, our God has been with us during this time. Bless us, O God, during this time. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
We can craft and do all the plans, but for it to become reality, we need the divine intervention. With that, I call the principal for the welcoming.
A very good morning to you all. Good morning, Siki, the MC for today, childhood friends. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all to St. Barnabas this morning. Today is a celebration where we gather to share in the joy of another anniversary. Let me, without further ado, recognize the presence of our Honorable Councillor, Richard Gausep, in his constituency, in the Katutura East constituency. Well, welcome, Honorable. In the same way, we also acknowledge and recognize the presence of our guest speaker, Dr. Shama Shivikwa, former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Science and Technology, and founder as well. Let me welcome and acknowledge Bani Karwombe, a former alumni, a member of the organizing committee, Director for Specialized Services at the National Council. Let me recognize our patron, Mr. Stephen Yaruke Kuro Ndorokade. Like that name, it's a very long one. It reminds me when we were attending school, those years at Aishipena, you know, and most of the teachers were those former white. It was a former white majority of the teachers. And then they will tell you them if they cannot pronounce your name, you don't have another one. Which another one? Please change this name. So some of those names were really troubling. Yeah, you are welcome, Mr. Patron, Head of Communication at NAMRA. Let me also welcome Mr. Mali Shisho from Shisho Architect with Kathy Stemisa. You are welcome. Mr. Kahiri, part of the organizing committee. Mr. Kashivena, I recognize your presence, representing the First National Bank. NBC is represented as well. Mr. Kawari. Let me also recognize the presence of the various principals. Bethel Timumine, my former principal, Mr. Kashivena, Mr. Kashiwangwa from Shifidi. I'm seeing faces. Bethel is also represented somewhere there. Ms. Bangura is among them. Ms. Tirwete. Your presence is recognized. Among the audience, let me also recognize our distinguished alumni, Ms. Angelica Kodongwidi, the former Lena at St. Barnabas, 1946, imagine. Ms. Batsepa Kandura, former alumni, also recognized. And everybody, my apology if I did not miss out anybody. Seeing former school board members and school board members that are present, you also recognize the media, staff members, our own learners. You are recognized. Colleagues, let me just give a very brief background where we come from. St. Barnabas School is one of the oldest schools for Africans in Namibia. It was established in 1923 by the Anglican Church at the old location, where it remained until 1968. Followed by the forceful removal of the Africans from the old location to Katutura, St. Barnabas reopened in Katutura as the Herero Huer Primary School for Sin Afrikaans in 1969 to comply with the ethnicization of spatial space. This changed the character of the school from being a multi-ethnic to a virtually mono-ethnic. In 1985, Following the relaxation of stringent apartheid laws, the school reverted to its original name, St. Barnabas, with the vision of becoming once again a significant center of excellence. And that is demonstrated by those that are involved with the school. I want to leave you with a quote. If you think in terms of a year, plant a seed. If it in terms of 10 years, plant trees. If in terms of 100 years, teach people. I wish to comment everybody that this is just the beginning. I want to wish that we still have a long journey of 100 years. So thanks for coming. Thanks for being here today. I wish you all the best. Thank you, Siki. Back to you.
And that makes it easier for all the speakers coming that you don't have to recognize it. In view of time, we'll stick to the protocol established. We are altering our program quickly in order to accommodate our guest speaker, who has some other engagement to do. So we will bring him before, and then we'll continue with the rest of the program. But before that, allow me to welcome Madam Kodongudi, just to say a few words. She is the student of 1946, before Prof then came, and so on. Funny enough, I grew up in Windhoek, but I have missed coming to St. Barnabas. I have not attended St. Barnabas. I did Tioka Shimune, and I left Windhoek. I became a rural boys' school. But there's so much. The principal, who was here for the longest time, I know, he is my uncle, so there is relations to this school. Madam Kodongwiri, the floor is yours. Going into exile and all kind of activities they used to do at St. Barnabas. Allow me to call the member of the committee, Bani, to introduce our keynote speaker, just to take time into cognizance.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you. That's attention, please. That's what happens when you go through memory lane. There are certain feelings that comes through when the elders, as the keynote speaker, when certain names and occasions are being mentioned. They take you to a place in history that only you know, that only you left through. So my duty and task is very simple. I'm Bani Karuambes. As was said, I have the honor to call to the podium Dr. Shama Shivikwa, and allow me not to call him in silence, but to recognize the persona that he is. In particular, that if we have to sum up Dr. Shama Shivikwa, we would sum him up as an institutional builder. An institutional builder is a person that takes care of a St. Barnabas that started somewhere far under a tree, which becomes the current St. Barnabas, meaning when some of us in 1994 went to academy, we found the Polytech that was such a small institution, and there was a visionary institutional builder. When the discussions were started that Namibia needs a second university, some of us who were proud of UNAM, every time when we read the headlines, we were not too sure where we were going. But somebody kept the vision. Somebody kept the dream that truly one day Namibia needs a university. And the second university shall focus on the science and technology. And ultimately, after long struggles, it became fait accompli that NAST was going to be the university. And he presided over that institution. So when we say an institutional builder, you compare the Polytech that we had in terms of the institutional framework, in terms of the academic staff, in terms of the policies and systems that are at play, because I'm also associated with the current NAST. So allow me to then say that the institutional builder we are calling to the podium is a fruit of St. Barnabas. And to that very extent, sir, we have no apology to hold you a few minutes longer if we have to, because we are eating from a tree that was planted by St. Barnabas. Over to you, sir.
Good morning. Still morning. Good morning, everyone. May I stand by the protocol established by the Master of Ceremonies, but still recognize the principal who called me 2 days ago to make a short statement about the launch of the centenary celebrations, and I could not refuse. I could not find another reason not to come, because St. Barnabas is my alma mater. St. Barnabas is my educational foundation. But I must apologize for rushing the program, because I have prior commitments that I had to shift. So after my speech, I won't stay throughout the following events. I would have to run. I'm sorry. Let me congratulate the school's management and all the contributors to the kind job that you see being already established to realize the celebrations. With such leadership, success is guaranteed. spread the news and make a lasting impact. Thank you for the honor and privilege to be with you. I wouldn't want to retell the history of St. Barnabas because much of it is known to you. Suffice it to say that it was the first school for blacks in Southwest Africa. Many of its pupils and students became successful leaders of our communities, leaders of this nation, teachers, nurses, doctors, scientists, engineers, and so on. I grew up in Orua, Nikitato, Mataka constituency, just a few kilometers over these northern mountains you can see here. If it were a straight road, not through Okahanja, it would probably take you 20 minutes to get to my village. And at night we could see the twilight from the city lights of Chomise and Okahanja. At night, in the roars of the trains traversing the mountains and the plains of our midlands. In 1966, I started Sub A, which is today's grade 1, in St. Barnabas, under Yempro Julia Kea, the late, the only female teacher at that time at the school. Mr. Gabriel Puente was the principal then. And my father was a teacher there as well, alongside others, some that you have heard from Madame Kodongiri, Mitris, Clemens Kapoor, Berthold Mumine, Phineas Kurida, Tapanello, Kabundanga Miyaki, and Hoveka. The teachers were the two gentlemen and gentle ladies of their time, respected in a community and nationally. In the Sierra, we say they were Odontembenke, impeccably dressed, well-behaved and disciplined. I could not understand that on a Saturday, my father would take us to town, dressed up in a suit, I don't know why, but we were going to town just to do shopping. All we were going to was Orogo, and he's wearing a tie and a suit. Every day was tie and a suit. The shoes must be shiny. If you have dust on your shoes, you're in trouble. That's how we were brought up. You had to dress in your uniform, and if something spilled on your uniform, you are in trouble. That's how our character was built. By mid-year, I was promoted to Sub B, and that evoked anger and envy from my younger sister and my little cousin. They are of the same age, but who I started school with. Our last home was separated from Yangon and Viennese schools by a small river and a hill facing the New Auckland Park. That hill was our small location, our playground, with dark area and thick houses, if you know what I mean. They don't play that anymore, do they? In its heyday, St. Barnabas was known and respected for the knowledge it imparted and the discipline it instilled in the pupils. We were taught and encouraged to excel in our studies, to be cleanly and properly dressed in our uniforms, and to obey the strict school, classroom and community rules at all times. Mind you, any elder person on the street could discipline you if you were misbehaving. Not just your teacher and not just your parents. At that time, the other motto for St. Barnabas was caring begins at home. And of course we know that character begins at home. Those were the unofficial mottos. We thought that the rules were too strict and unnecessary. But our parents knew better because they were building good character. If you live by the rules, you turn out to be of good character. In its 100 years history, St. Barnabas survived many challenges, political, social, and financial. It lost talented persons. The old teachers are long gone. For instance, it got new talent, of course, and experienced underfunding and dilapidation of infrastructure. But that's common in public schools and even private schools in Namibia. But it has remained a beacon of hope for our society. It is for this reason that we must unite behind its mission and revival. And this centenary celebrations are part of that revival. I'm sure the demand for space here is high as elsewhere in schools, generally primary schools, kindergarten, and whatnot. Let me give you one reason why it is that way. Every 20 years, a nation's population doubles at the birth rate of 3.5%. But the number of schools hasn't doubled in 20 years or even 32 years since independence. That's a red light. That's a red alert. It tells us that educational space is very precious, very scarce, and in high demand. And our future generations are facing a crisis not of their making. Because everyone is searching for wealth. And wealth today is more than you value a car or a house and so on. But knowledge gives you all that. But the house doesn't give you knowledge. In its publication entitled The Wealth of Nations in 2006, the World Bank posits that 2/3 of a nation's wealth lies in its people and institutions. That's the reason why nations such as Singapore, which is very poor in natural resources, it has none. It actually had to buy land from Malaysia and so on to grow the city nation. That's why they're very rich, because they have good institutions and educated people, highly educated people. And why are many countries rich in natural resources like Namibia have so many poor people? Because of how our education systems are managed and producing graduates, and how institutions are managed. And if you open the newspaper today, you will see something is happening at an institution, public institution. So we are not properly governed. We have a crisis of governance and crisis of management in Namibia. You will see an institution, a public institution with a leader who departs, and after 2 years there is still no replacement. There is no substantive person. It is just unheard of in developed countries. 2 years before you leave, you announce, you make it known that you are leaving. Before I left I left in 2019. In 2017, I already informed the ministry and the board that I'm leaving. Please find a replacement. But only 2 years later, or was it 2 years or something like that, 2 years later, was there a replacement. There is no transfer of institutional memory. By the time I left NAST, I think 4 or 5 senior people were left with me, and that's over 100 years of institutional memory. You cannot find it anymore there. And everybody who comes here must not dig and find nothing. The question to often ask is, what are 4 types of wealth? Number 1, financial, money. 2, social wealth, status. 3, time wealth, which is freedom. And 4, physical wealth, health. It is said, beware of the jobs that lure you in with 1 and 2, which is obviously money and status, but rob you of 3 and 4. Are you with me? So, in Namibia, the first two are so important that we forget the more important things. The intangible, the physical health that you deserve, the time that you value so much. It's really not so important in this country. How somebody got rich is just because they are rich, and that we respect them because they are rich, not because they really earned to be rich. Further, in his newer book, the World Bank says in his book, The Changing Wealth of Nations, that's a 2021 publication, Managing Assets for the Future. He says, and I quote, "It is now clear that a narrow focus on the growth of GDP or gross domestic product is insufficient to achieve humanity's aspirations for sustainable prosperity. Well-functioning ecosystems and educated populations are requisites for sustaining and sustainable well-being." It is clear. And oftentimes we hear numbers being given. Minister was in Parliament the other day talking about GDP and numbers. But the question is whether there's an ecosystem that can maintain the goods that you build. Or do we build and then we break them down and then we start all over again? So we have to reinvest new money into all systems. Not to refurbish, but to just basically restart from scratch. Therefore, we must upkeep, refurbish and restore the existing educational institutions and missions because they are precious. There's nothing more precious than a school in this life, and a hospital, if you know what I mean. Because the most important things in your life is your health and is this up here. And we must build new institutions to create new talent. We can't just continue to refurbish the old institutions and so on because the space is limited here. You must build new institutions. As I said earlier, space is a problem in schools, isn't it? Beginning of the year, everybody's rushing to get a child registered somewhere. It is so difficult. It is precious. Knowledge is precious. Knowledge leading to qualifications is the foundation of a decent life now and into the future. Knowledge is the foundation of independence and national development. It is an intangible wealth. Knowledge is king, and the holder of knowledge is your king. So why does anyone want to be ruled by a king? A king who hoards wealth, collects wealth, lives richly on a public purse and while using and abusing his subjects as tools. You understand now what's going on in England. The queen passed on and the son became the king. So the debate is now being revived. Why do we need these people who live off public purse? The cost of living is going up, and you're maintaining people who are already wealthy. Every year you give them billions of dollars or pounds, isn't it? So why do you want to be ruled by a king who just takes things from you? You must be king because you know, because you have knowledge. And knowledge alone doesn't take you far unless you use it properly. So it is for these reasons that we must instill discipline and honor in our students, in our pupils, build citizens of good character, and groom leaders with impeccable character. In conclusion, I would like to say that the upcoming centenary celebrations are not a series of events just to remember and to rehearse history. They are critical moments to do what is right, to uphold our legacy as educators and achievers, that pull the young and future generations to the forefront of knowledge and leadership, and thus a better life as teachers, nurses, politicians, scientists, and so on. Having said that, I would like now to pledge 5,000 initially to the centenary celebrations. So then you assess and see the money is not wasted, you get more. Surely a well-managed program and events will carry us far and will invite more support and pledges. So I congratulate you. I look forward to the celebrations. I will join you next year. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to commit to a committee, but the program is well laid out, and I wish you all every success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Chibigwa. There is so much that I cannot sum up what you have said, because every single piece of the statements you have made is worth it. And I think it comes back to the motto of the school, they say knowledge is power. We had a lot of encounters until we found out we are families who will fight at the foundation of NAST. We're just coming out of the independence of the country, and you see these people coming to impose rules on us, and we will rebel as we used to rebel in the liberation struggle. But through time we have learned that you were told as an institutional builder that you have left a legacy, and nobody will forget about it. Those of us who know Polytechnic will say the biggest room at Polytechnic was room 207. That was the biggest auditorium that you could go. But today is a big institution. Thank you, and may you be blessed in everything that you do going forward. I said I'm not a speaker today. While the young little ones are coming up to sing the school anthem, we'll also give that moment for Prof to leave because he has a commitment at 12. So the young ones will come up for the school anthem. Thank you. Let's give them the hand of the applause. is a member of the Committee of Secretariat here. He will give us a brief background and the outline of the program of the event which is going to take place. While we see the patron, CEO of the Prof. You can see the Prof off. Yeah. Please, the speech of Prof is being printed. The media will get it immediately.
Thank you. Prof, before we go, let's test whether knowledge is power. Let's test whether knowledge is power. 4 types of wealth were mentioned. 4 types of wealth were mentioned, and we want to confirm to the guest of honor that indeed we took his knowledge. Can I get a hand for the first knowledge? For the first wealth. What? The first wealth? I'm seeing a hand of a small one. The first wealth. What? First wealth is? Okay, financial wealth. Good. Another wealth? Don't speak. We are at a school. You do this. We are at a school. Second wealth, madam? Health. Are we correct? Health is the surname of that world. Health is the explanation of that world. I see a hand. Let's confirm that the young ones are not here. Okay? Status is the surname of that. Yeah, okay, fine. Whoever remembers anything of it. To me, I thought this was the lesson for the day, even wealth, which we took that money is part of the wealth. We also took that social wealth, which includes status. Very important people is also a type of wealth. We took time wealth, which includes freedom. Time wealth, which includes freedom, and I hope one day when some of us are no longer in the offices we can speak like Prof, because there are no consequences. I'm able to speak by. So that's time wealth. Lastly is physical wealth, which includes your health. And he warned that be careful of just earning the first 2 without the last 2. Thank you, Prof. You are released. And also as he goes out, there's 5,000 in our kitty. Can you give him a round of applause? We have 5,000. Mr. Bagura, do we have the account number? Please don't receive that money by anyone. When the visionary principle, Mr. Bagura, I'm saying the visionary principle because when we were at Barnabas, he would join as a referee at the riverbed. Somewhere there was a riverbed near here. And he would join as a referee for those of us who were refusing to use the brain power, but who wanted to use the power of the muscle. I never saw him joining that kind of power. But today, the school has produced in him somebody who is now the leader of the school. So when we started with the idea of these celebrations, and when we called some of us to eat also, we were not too sure what exactly. And I think as we sit and have meetings, and these days, some of us who have been there every other evening, we were not too sure that how it will unfold. But here we are today. Thank you, Mr. Principal, that you had the vision, and the vision drew us to here. Also, allow me, as I say that, allow me to recognize that I'm also with one of my bosses here. If you work for Parliament, National Council. Technically, I report to him. They are part of those that can say that I'm not worth my salt. But as I had to indicate to the person that I report to immediately, Mr. J, I had to go to his office and say, sir, my life is left in 4 dimensions. Personal, because I live. That includes my studies and other things that I like. It's also left for the office, professional, but it's also left for the community. So I said, sir, I'm taking time for my community meetings. And this is how you have to live your life. It has to be balanced. There should be things that you are known for, which include having self-humanity, which include that besides pursuing career, having an office, but you also left for people. So my boss, if they said the disciplinary thing to me, please confirm that indeed I was doing community service. Please let's also just balance in that way. So as it was introduced, 100 years, whoever has a granny, whether it is your grandmother or grandfather, when they reach 100 years, I don't think there's any one of us who will never want to celebrate that. It will be time for celebration. So if it comes to St. Barnabas, why don't we think that it is worth celebrating? So that's what underlies the celebration, is that 100 years does not come often, and when it comes during your lifetime, you should make sure that you celebrate. Number 2, there's enough to celebrate about St. Barnabas. We heard from Madame. We heard how she is going back to. We heard the politicians that were produced, the technocrats that were produced, the leaders of, you name it, they were produced. So there's enough history to celebrate. That's why we are celebrating. But as we are celebrating, we are saying we want to continue the legacy of excellence in education. What is it that makes St. Barnabas to be the school that it was, that we should build on? Please, 2-3 days ago, I was at Keynote school. You read about this school, but these people are clinging to a name. They are clinging to a symbol of achievement and success. And that's what is driving them. That you can't be Keynote school and be in Andalas. So therefore, those of us who are at St. Barnabas, let's make sure that we are clinging to the status, to the local, to the legacy of the school. So then we want to make sure that the rich history and achievements of the school are celebrated. We want to learn from the lessons of the past. How did they do which made them successful? We also want to reassure commitment to St. Barnabas. We want to, how do we bring back that commitment to this school? And then we also want to raise financial and other resources for the needs of the school. People, because it can't just start with an event and end with an event. We should know that through this 1 year, we were able to refurbish this or that. We were able to also do ABC. It will be an opportunity to relook at the school vision. What is the school vision? What is the mission of the school? What is the logo and the anthem of the school that was sung here? Just to reconfirm, I listened to the anthem the other day. It's a very wonderful anthem. It was written by Ahali Dwesepen. The lyrics and everything, it's one of them. So we need to reconfirm whether this do we still want to say knowledge is power, or do we want to revive that with something else to capture with our contemporary world? The event that we are looking at next year is going to be officially opened by the ministry. The ministry has acknowledged, the principal wrote a letter to them, they acknowledge and express support for the event. So now that's the main event. The main event will also have thematic discussions. We want 2 important thematic discussions. We want to look at the role and importance of foundational and primary education. Namibia, at the dawn of independence, foundational and primary education were not important things. But I think 10 years back, during the time of Honorable Katrina Hansen, Imara Hansen, I think that's when they refocused. That's when we brought back the pre-primary and the primary, giving back attention to this. Why? Because they realize that, colleagues, hello, if you want to be Dr. Shama Shivikwa, it's only when you can sit quiet. Because if you don't sit quiet, you will never not be Dr. Shama Shivikwa. You know that the name doctor, you don't get that one at the Ministry of Home Affairs. No. You get it somewhere else and you give it to the ministry and say that I'm now doctor. So please let's be quiet so that we can be doctor. Who wants to be doctor? Who wants to be professor? Yeah, thank you. Let's aim high. So the importance of foundation and primary education. We also want to have a second thematic discussion, which is to uphold the legacy of Saint Barnabas through greater commitment to education. Exactly what do we want to do? We want to inspire the teachers. People, some of the teachers who taught me, I think Mr. Kashivena is also here, amongst those ones who taught me. You may never have imagined that a person like me was going to be this. Those ones that are raising their fingers up, we may never imagine who they will be a few years. Teachers need to be inspired. Teachers need to renew their commitment for them to produce the fruits that we want. The learners, do we ever talk to them to start to dream to be the professors and the doctors? We also want to say the community at large. Because school was also linked to community during those years. Then we also want to have the tripartite, what they call school education management system called the tripartite. Tripartite collaboration between teachers, parents, and the learners. And lastly, we want to raise the resources, as we have said. So the event will be marked by a series of activities, because it's a momentum. Starting today, even on our profile and stages, we should start to show St. Barnabas, and we should start to show the events that are upcoming, and we should agree to participate. I wish I was not this pregnant, and I could walk 100 kilometers for St. Barnabas, just to confirm that St. Barnabas was marked by also walking 100, but my sister Selma will get me from the hospital if I try that. But we are looking at events that will mark the 100 years. Let's be innovative. The other day I proposed, we can even do, say, 5 weekends, dance alone, 10 kilometers every Saturday to mark 100. There should be things to mark the 100 years. Allow me, Director of Ceremony, not to spend too much of your time. We said that St. Barnabas have golden products. Meme is here. She has given us a few names. Some other names, unfortunately, they are listening to us from the other side of life. Those who were students and learners of this wonderful school. When we listen to the song, St. Barnabas, you're very party. Let it start to ring bells. Let it start to send messages. Let it start to give us the dreams and visions for this school. We say that, just as Dr. Shivikwa has emphasized, we created committees. We gave terms of reference to committees to spearhead the process. Because when you are asking us about who received the money, where is the receipt, who went to buy this or what, we said we need to have a governance structure. We need to have people that report to people and ensure that the things we are collecting, we can account for that. The first 5,000, please, Mr. Principal, we cannot say no, it was between X and Y, and only 2,000 came back. So Madam? Let us hear from your own voice. Very, very important. I don't know why the director will do this later, but let Mama please.
One question. Can I have a pledge of 500? If you do every year I'll do 100.
That's just as they say, Mama, it is the heart. Mama, it is the heart that matters. Your 500, the value of that 500, because from where it comes from may mean more than me taking it from so much money that I get from government. So it is really appreciated. Thank you. So we have 5,500 already. And I think I've started to be an auctioneer now. Thank you, madam. Are there some of the committee members here quickly so that they are also saying, because some of us don't want to appear as if we are doing this on our own. Can I quickly have just quickly so that the director is not saying it's me holding the program, but it was asked that they also be indicated. Thank you. Are there only two, apart from the teachers, where? Yeah, thank you. And just come close, please. You are doing so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Barnabas. I'm the chairperson for the Finance and Resource Mobilization Committee.
Right. Chairperson for the Finance and Mobilization Committee. So he is the keeper of our money.
Good afternoon. My name is Kiesi Shidemunda. If anything is not written, if anything is not reported in this committee, then I was absent.
And also, I think my sister is not saying enough. So, you are not coming from home.
Where? Okay. I work for Mali Shisho Architect. And also, when I attend these sessions, I wear two hats. I'm also an alumni, and I represent myself and Mr. Mali Shisho.
I know my brother Mali is one of those who want to work in silence. We admire that part, but also allow us to celebrate you in public when we need to. Thank you for the already worked classes that he has contributed and that we have done as community support. And I can confirm on days that my sister is stealing a few minutes from your time. Yes. I can confirm that she does this and she does it passionately. And we need to also acknowledge you in public that indeed the extra availing her to us is also something that we highly appreciate.
Yes, I'm also in Karindi, in Alumni. I remember those days that when we go to the staff room, just the right but now we are sitting them to contribute to the school progress. I'm the interim chairman of the Alumni and community development, so I will be dealing with everybody who was here, so including myself. Thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Buka Muna, and I'm a chairperson in the Media and Communication Committee. I'm in the Commerce and Sport. My parents, my family members, they were all Commerce and Sport. So I'm in this course.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ms. Rome. I'm a teacher here, and I'm working for Barnabas, Kahiri. We are the ones who make everything become successful. Thank you.
I'm Selma Elamudo, former learner, very proud one. I'm with the Art of Culture. I'm a teacher at the school.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nangwin Pagwam, a teacher at Agustinian Secondary School. I'm not a member of the member, but I am a member of the school board. I'm a parent here with two beautiful daughters, and that is why I'm part of this committee. Thank you.
Good morning. Yes, afternoon, yes. I'm Antoniela Kayewe. I'm a teacher, a former learner, and my committee, I'm under the Media and Marketing International. Thank you.
Katama, Watoto Ganda Mana. I'm a teacher at school board member, and I'm the chairperson of organizing committee as well as the guest speaker.
were jeopardized by
one of the oldest teachers, who are a teacher at this school since 1999, management member. And I'm with Mr. K.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Matthias. I'm with the basketball after school, and we are a community program which has been very much involved in all the community schools around here. And this is why we are part of the organizing committee for this memorable event. And what we do is basically sports and activities, and wherever we can assist. Thank you so much.
I think before they go off, we confirmed that we were to order nice t-shirts. We were supposed to display them there, but I think if that plan did not go as planned, and we are responsible for it, we will make sure that they are nice t-shirts. Some of them will just be unselling. We will just come to your office and we will force you to buy, even if it's not your size. Just as long as it is with same Barnabas. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you. We started seeing pledges. I'm about to finish. We already started seeing commitments. And I like the small ones. I can see you will be professors and doctors. The way you are quiet, I can see. So, if I start to see those who are moving, then I will know who are going to be the bus drivers. I will know the bus drivers from those who are going to make noise. Thank you. We are collecting financial and other resources because the school has the following needs. Because we also want to use the opportunity to attend to our needs. We want to pay for the cost of the celebration. Come next year, September, October, we should be able to afford and have the mic that fits all over and pay for whatever we need regarding that. We are saying that the school needs ablution facilities, meaning toilets, facilities for pre-primary and grade 1. We want to also see whether we can raise resources for that. We also want to put tiles in 12 classrooms. So we want to see if we don't get all 12, at least we can do 6. But there are things we want to remember that we may have gotten through this one. We want to upgrade the underdeveloped sports fields. We want to make sure that we have real sports fields. Namibia sports is going down, but we have an opportunity through this activity to improve the sports fields. And then we are also having a challenge with the school bus. It is an import bus. It's either we revamp it because it's expensive to maintain it, or if we are lucky enough, we can just have another bus. But we will be asking sponsors, partners, alumni, and everyone to see what they can. But you don't have to buy the bus, but you can say, I have 50,000 for the bus. You don't have to buy to tile all the 12 classes. You can say, I can tile 1 or 2 or so. So we are saying that people are not forced. And I also forgot, very important, computers for educational purposes. Computers for educational purposes. So we had to go through the list of the many things that we need as a school. I'm saying as a school, I hope I'm still part of the school. And then out of that, so that we share our shopping list and will allow partners and supporters to buy. So before the director of ceremony tells me to get off and bring back the mic, allow me as the last item to call my beloved sister, Kathy, and Selma, who introduced her by another surname. Selma, in the presence of these wonderful people to me, apart from the time that we are committing, and if we have I think the principal will always, when he said, I need a minute, so I know that this person, but I always make time for them. I always make sure that I make the time. I, or we, through me, or whatever, we are committing the first story for Saint Barnabas. The story meaning that the equivalent of 5,000 to 6,000, or which we can pay in money. The sample of the trolley was just to say that if you don't have the trolley, because some of us eat our trolleys, but you can have a plate for each 5,000, 5 to 6,000. So we are pledging that, and I want to emphasize again, on top of the time that we spend and energy, we are committing to give 5 to 6,000, to be exact 5,500 is our trolley, because it is a woolly trolley. It is not the type of big trolleys. So we really want to say that we have, please follow us up. We have committed, but surely because we need to, the prices will improve a bit. So, but please put it on your record that we have committed. And surely, if I'm called up yonder before my time, you can ask from them where is that. Please, you get it from both of them. Thank you for it.
Ms. Bunny, you will stay here.
Yeah, I work with politicians.
There are so many people we have to say something, but for sake of time, please bear with us that let's go to the vote of thanks by Mr. Doroka there. We can interact after this and socialize. Eruke Kuro, vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. It was the morning when we started, but it's the afternoon now. I've got a very easy assignment. My assignment is to thank everybody for the roles that you have played in ensuring that we are here, but more importantly for what is yet to come. So if I can say thank you and that would be it, I think I would have delivered on my assignment. But maybe I would have not done justice to the roles the various people have played. Therefore, that requires a bit of to be augmented so that it represents the value and how much appreciation we have for the role that they have played. The Honorable Councillor has left, but we obviously thank him as a school. We thank him that he has made the time. I wish he was still around, because I was going to present my friend Austin Kahiri to you. If you would recall 2020 when they were vying for that position, my friend still thinks that those elections must be recounted because he was also vying for regional councillor for this constituency. When we say St. Barnabas has produced products, we don't say that lightly. It's because various personalities that have walked this ground and wherever the school was are really playing active roles in various spheres of our life. Now, the councillor, we thank him. I know the principal will still speak to him. And when you do, please thank him for us, because we do appreciate the time that he has made for our school. Professor Shiripo, we also thank him so much. Of course, the Master of Ceremony was right, that he owes us, as well as Mr. Karwombe. But obviously, that's probably the least among the least he can do of being here. But the message that he has left us with, if we took the time to listen to what he was telling us, that has value in itself. And I'm hoping that we will take it that. But of course, I now realize that there are various common denominators between myself and him that we probably do not say it loud. When he introduced himself, which is what I like the most, is that he said he's from the village, a little village on the side of these mountains called Orua. Now that's St. Barnabas and Orua. The two of us represent that very well. So, but we thank him and the contribution, the donation, the pledge that he has made. What is good about his pledge is that he says initially, and that's the part that I underline. So it means that where that 5,000 came from or is coming from, there's still more. It depends on how we do the things that we are expected to do. On condition that we do it well, chances are that we will still get more from him. But we do appreciate the commitment that he has made and the pledge that he has made at this point. So we thank him very much. The principal, I don't think there is really anything that can be said. for agreeing to do this on a voluntary basis. We could never afford to pay for these kinds of services as a school, but we do appreciate those that then labor for free. And that also is to you and the various representatives that are forming part of the committees. I'm on a platform where I am in a serious spiral, but I see the activities that happen there. And sometimes I wonder, when do these people get the time to do the kind of things that they are planning to do? You've ticked off one item in this event. There's a series of items yet to come, and I can only wish you the very best. And of course, where you need assistance through the principal, we'll see what doors we can break open if they do not open on their own. Then the master of ceremony, thank you very much, Mr. Mioro, for taking us through today's proceedings. When Professor Shiviba was here, now when you started, you see that's the problem. We must be careful of what we say. When you started, you spoke about the encounters that you had with him at the school. And I thought we were made to leave it there. But when Professor Shiviba returned, he spoke about an incident involving yourself and another Mioro as well. The bus, the Polytechnic bus, I'll leave it at that. But thank you very much for not being a former learner of this school, agreeing to be associated with our school. We really do appreciate that. Mrs. Colombini, Mr. Kashivena here, at the time he was just a teacher, a mathematics teacher, but he never got to teach me, but there's obviously was a teacher here. We do thank you that even after your term has passed, you still continue to associate yourself with the school. Now, Mr. Mbowa, with him was a tricky one. You never really knew when were you right. At times you will be told to sing. Now you can imagine some of us singing. Just as you are about to start the song, he has already determined that and that is not like it's a kind direction. It's something he would have followed. Or and that's Mr. Mboga. That you are still here so many years down the line, you can only imagine how many of the young people that who attended school here over the years would have gone through his hands. And when he looks and sees those that have passed through his guidance prevailing the various roles, he must be a very happy man. But on our end, we really do thank you for the contribution that you would have made. The guidance belongs to you. When some of us take these events very lightly and we think we need to make time and just spend a few hours at the school and whatnot, I'm sure we still recall things that happened at our schools. Sometimes when the inspector would come around and the teachers would teach you properly now because the inspector is around. Or sometimes when somebody, a very important person comes to the school and the school is properly painted, you needed to do what because you are preparing to receive a guest. Those memories are still with us. And the colleagues that are here in attendance with us, the memories of this event would live with them for a very long time. So the word of advice to you would be to what others have said. There are so many things that you can acquire in life. But if you have to choose between the many things, because maybe you cannot maintain a very long list, it is knowledge that you should go for. Because with knowledge, everything else depends with you and on you. What you do with it becomes then your election. So while you are granted the opportunity, and you are at a very good school, I should say, it's probably not your A school as far as Namibia is concerned, but you are also not at the U school. So you are at a very good school and you have been granted this opportunity. Some of your parents would have really been going through a lot of things to ensure that you are able to attend school on a daily basis. Please make use of the opportunity. Learn as much as you can about so many things, whether it's at this level of education or when you proceed to other levels of education. Once you have acquired the knowledge, there's nobody who can take that away from you but what you do with it. is what is infinite. It all depends on you, what you take it for. Of course, I am a regular here who will still engage during annual and usual engagements. I'm looking forward to the award ceremony. We couldn't have that for the past year because of COVID and the surge at the time, but I'm looking forward to this year's award ceremony. It's on, the undertaking is on, but so I'm calling on those that have not made up their mind that they want to do well, to do so, because at the end of the day, there would be reward for excelling at the various subjects. I think I would have done justice to everybody. Everybody else whose roles I have not mentioned, I also thank you for making the time. I also know that we've got presence and following away from this room, because some people are streaming. Those that are connecting there, we also thank them so much. But we look forward to your contributions, because this is a fundraising initiative. It would not attain its objective if we are not able to raise the funds. So as you walk out from here, think of the things that you can contribute to the school so that we are able to raise the funds and attend to the many needs that Mr. Karobe here indicated to us. It will be for a worthy cause. So please, let's do that. With that said, I think everybody has been thanked. Mr. Karobe, you have also been thanked. Thank you for attending as well. Thank you.
Of our event, as I have said earlier, I'm not alumni of Stein Barnabas. I could have pledged money to your school. Unfortunately, I'm sitting in the same boat that I need to run for my school, Martin Luther High School. However, on my behalf, on my own personal behalf, and my family, I will pledge $1,000 to your event. Having said that, we shall now rise for the AU anthem and the national anthem. I will not take them now. It's 1 o'clock. We need to pick up children. You have to separate yourself from that. We have to pick up children. It's 1 o'clock. We have run out of time. And then there's few snacks. We allow the dignitaries to go first, and then we can follow. Let's rise for the school, for the AU anthem and the national anthem, and have a blessed day.